Hi there everyone, Lars here with another D&D thought piece, brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And today I want to say something that I know is very controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway. Miscommunications in Dungeons & Dragons is totally fine. In fact, I'd even encourage that you allow them to happen. Now then, let me qualify this by saying, yes, miscommunication can lead to a lot of heartache and a lot of problems, especially when you're playing Dungeons & Dragons, because it's not just simply you as the player if you're getting into the game, it's you as the player and then you as the character. It's so easy to have multiple forms of miscommunication, and it can lead, again, to a lot of problems there at the table. However, miscommunications also present a fantastic opportunity if you are willing to learn. And I also contend that as writers, we can learn a lot from miscommunication. So recently, in one of the D&D campaigns that I'm a part of, we had a moment where we were coming together as a team to try to rescue a bunch of people who had been kidnapped by this tribe of lizard men. And we were coming up with all these different kinds of plans and whatnot, and because I play a Dragonborn character, everyone else is like, you know what? You should go out and you should talk to them because you look scaly and you speak the same language. And my character was definitely not on board with that at first. And me as the player, I also was like, what exactly are you guys trying to do? We are completely outnumbered. Dragonborn and lizard folk don't necessarily get along here. And so there was bad miscommunication forming at the table with both the players and between the characters. Woof. So like any good gang of D&D players, we just threw ourselves into the middle of it. And I ended up being pretty ridiculous and almost causing us to get into a fight with an entire tribe of lizard folk and getting everyone killed. That would have been really, really bad, especially because there was a boss monster that was creeping towards our location, and we would have had to fight that thing right afterwards. So in this tense moment of miscommunication, we really, really had to pull out all of the stops as players to try to get our ducks in a row, and then as the characters to use all of our diplomatic skills, even use some spells to try to handle everything. And it got really, really close. We twice nearly had fights, but we managed to work things out in the end. And it was fantastic role-playing. And on top of that, after the game, it got us, as the players, talking to see how we could avoid these kinds of miscommunications in the future. And that was pretty great, because not only did it lead to a great moment within the game for our characters, but it was also a moment for us to come together as friends to try to have more fun. Miscommunications are an opportunity to get rid of the fluff and the barriers that prevent us from truly understanding each other. Miscommunications, while they can be very embarrassing and sometimes hurtful, are an opportunity to grow stronger. So I encourage you to not just simply be like, I am going to do everything I can to play the best that I can and to try to understand everyone, because sometimes that might lead to you not giving your character the love that they need, but also it can lead to you sometimes bowing and scraping to ideas or to plans that you might not be entirely comfortable with. It's totally fine to oppose an idea from other people at the table. It's entirely fine for your character to have some friction with the rest of the party, so long as you don't allow it to become a problem, so long as you aren't seeking to drive a wedge into the party. You can have a whole lot of fun with miscommunication opportunities. Now then, if you allow for miscommunication to cause friction and animosity between each other, you need to take a step back and take a breather. We do not want that in any sort of party. I have been the dungeon master for a couple of games where we've had that kind of division, and it got so awkward. It was only when the people who were causing these issues were either forced to leave or got the message and decided to leave that we were able to return to just fantastic shenanigans and having a good time together. If we could have, though, figured out a way to actually talk it over with these people and figure out good solutions, then it probably actually would have been way better, because I can tell that from this opportunity that I had to have some miscommunications with one of my more recent groups, that it only made us better because we decided to overcome our differences. So, once again, take miscommunication as an opportunity to grow. Don't just have it be something that you decide to avoid, and definitely don't give in to the animosity and the antagonism that can unfold in miscommunication. So now the question becomes, okay, Lars, well, how does this actually help us out as writers? What can we really even do with this? Well, there are two things that come to mind when it comes to miscommunication. Number one, learn from miscommunication at the table in D&D. For one thing, it is so very hard to write good conversations in our stories. And one of the great things that Dungeons & Dragons allows you to do is to have very real conversations in ridiculous situations with other people and learn how others speak. This is something that is really important for novice writers, because it's very easy to make all of your characters sound or act the same, which then makes any sort of miscommunication that you want to put into a story feel incredibly contrived. However, by playing Dungeons & Dragons, you can get a better idea of how personalities form, how personalities mesh, and how they clash. How you can have a really good conversation form, and how you can have a really bad one begin. And that is a fantastic lesson that you can learn from having miscommunication issues at the table while playing Dungeons & Dragons. Learn from those opportunities. Take that to heart. What began this? What kind of language was used? What was the body language like? The second thing that we as novice writers can learn from opportunities with miscommunication is to learn how to deal with those situations. Just like figuring out how to deal with other players while doing Dungeons & Dragons, you will have moments when you're asking your beta readers or other people to give you critique on your stories. And it is very easy to misunderstand what they are saying, or that they might not really know exactly how they want to present their critique. They're just going to kind of throw a word salad at you, and it can be very easy to totally misunderstand or to get very angry at what people have to say. You don't want that to happen. Take the criticism as it comes your way and learn how to deal with it, especially learn how to manage moments of miscommunication. It is absolutely fine to ask questions of, well, what did you mean right here? Why did you say this? I want to better understand your thought process. Don't just go, nodding your head, or just saying, typing that down, because that doesn't really communicate anything back to them. That just furthers the miscommunication that is happening. You want to be able to have a good dialogue with your beta readers and editors, finding out what their insights are, what their criticisms are, and what their suggestions are, fully understanding them so that way you can better implement them into your own story the way that you feel will benefit it the most. And that requires, again, good, healthy communication, which you can learn how to have that by allowing for miscommunications to happen. Now, again, I absolutely admit that this is something that most people would say, like, no, you don't want miscommunication when you are writing your stories or when you're playing your games. I say, well, rather than fearing that they might happen, let them happen when they do and learn how to deal with them. If you can do that, it will completely change who you are as a Dungeons & Dragons player and who you are as an artistic creator, because it will most definitely make you a better person and a better author. So with that being said, let's get back to playing some good Dungeons & Dragons. I have right now a brilliant, or at least I'm hoping it's going to be a brilliant, dungeon crawl to plan out for my next game. It's going to be awesome. In the meantime, however, if you are looking for more writing advice, you lovely novice writers out there, then please feel free to check out our other videos here on YouTube. Also, feel free to check out our podcast episodes found on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, the works. We also have writing exercises for you over at our Pinterest page, and we would love for you to join our growing community of novice writers. Links for all of that and more are down in the description. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.